on Ms. Rice, please.
SJC-11150 with SJC-11205, Commonwealth versus Azubuko, and Savage versus Azubuko.
Good morning, Chief Justice.
Good morning. Hold on just one moment. All right, let's proceed.
Okay, good morning, Chief Justice and Associate Justice. My name is Azubuko. I am here on the basis of a lawsuit entered against me by my landlord in the person of Dr. Richard Savage. Unfortunately, he's not here today. This case has centers on tortious interference, which is also known as intentional interference with contractual relationship. Taking everything into consideration, it will not be unintelligent to dissociate the doctrine, the tortious interference doctrine, from eggshell rule, which Massachusetts court recognized on criminal and tort basis too. There exists precedent on that. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me, and it also lends itself to but-for doctrine. My license was suspended without compliance with the prescription of the 14th Amendment in the way of procedural and substantive due processes. I had 2 citations, which first one was in Boston here. I requested for a hearing. I never got any notice for the hearing. I went back in person, requested to be allowed to be heard in compliance with Massachusetts Rule of Civil Procedure 60. I was blatantly denied that opportunity, and that counts towards me. Secondly, I got another citation in Boston by Mass Avenue and Washington. I never got a hearing for that ticket at Roxbury District Court. Thirdly, another citation which contributed against the revocation of my license was a 4th citation issued to me by a Boston police officer by name Antonio DiMaggio, allegedly on January 17, 2008. Upon my honor, I never had any contact with him whatsoever that day, and based on that, my license was revoked. And as a result of that, I was incapacitated from paying Dr. Savage his rent. He commenced a lawsuit against me at Quincy District Court, as unfortunately, the judge there wobbled over the case. He failed to do what was expected of a reasonable person. I tried to appeal it. I was overwhelmingly frustrated. Then, out of annoyance, I brought it to the SJC, Single Justice, under the writ of mandamus, which is in compliance with Massachusetts General Law 249, Section 5. Unfortunately, the pigs could not fly, despite the fact that the basis for my claim were constitutionally based. If I had gotten a hearing on 3 tickets, 2 tickets, my license would not have been revoked. Then, for the ticket, for the 4th citation I was given by Boston Police Officer Antonio DiMaggio, I appealed it before before a clerk magistrate. I lost. I paid again, won before Judge Reed, who had retired from as a judge now. Then, despite that, judgment was entered against me. Then, on August 25th, I picked up another ticket in the name under the color that my registration was revoked. This was at Dorchester. I tried to explain the surrounding circumstances at Dorchester District Court. I was found responsible. So there is no legislative number that says that this is the number of ticket you should get to have your license suspended or revoked. There is no legislative specification whatsoever in Massachusetts on that. So this is a case of ultra vires too. Let me see if this court, this is not a virgin legal theory before this court. The court had a case which borders on tortious interference in the case of Psych Ed Corporation and another versus Stanley D. Klein, K-L-E-I-N. The SJC number to it is 10722. There was another case also in connection with the same tortious interference before this court in the way of Blackstone versus Cashman. This was in 2000. Then another case, this one flew from Massachusetts Appeals Court in the way of David D. Stack versus Advanced Magnetic Incorporation, 50 Mass Appeals Court, CT 226 2000. So based on the Massachusetts failure to grant me a substantive due process and procedural due process, I lost my license and I was incapacitated to pay Dr. Savage. Then he sued me. Then I filed a third-party claim. They never responded to I served them duly, but they made no submission to this case. So I don't have anything to say based on the case of Savage at this juncture. If you had any question, I'll be more than glad to answer it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Jan.
All right. Hearing